Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen to a solo versus squads commentary by Wilmy, that's me. We're going to go ahead and jump into a game that happened on June 2nd of 2018. I'm dropping down into Tomato Town. That's going to be my first stop. Clear Tomato Town and then kind of progress into this solo versus squads game. So one of the first things I want to talk to you about in solos versus squads is deciding how you're going to drop. One of the things you should always take into consideration is that you are not going to drop right on top of where you want to land. You want to drop away from it and then glide in. So for this particular drop, I'm going for Tomato Town. I start at the drawbridge because there are multiple locations to pick up weapons. There's also a gold chest underneath. So this is kind of my plan to get started. So let's go ahead and see what happens. And let's go ahead and click that. Alright, here we go. We'll speed it up a little bit so you can see, but as you can see, I'm not dropping right on top. I'm dropping away from it, and then I'm coming in. So let's go ahead and switch to gameplay, and we'll keep it sped up for a little bit. I go ahead and break down these trees because it's really important to have wood at the beginning of the engagement, because usually the people that you start against are going to be farming up wood right away. So it gives you a huge advantage over anybody you run into within the first like 2 minutes or so. All right, and so one of the things I wanted to point out here is that when I come into any sort of area when I'm first starting, I do something called framing. Now, this is a term that I think I made up. It could be out there, but specifically for gaming, it's really important because basically what you want to do is create this frame. So this is kind of like my field of view when I come into town. I'm not moving the camera all around. It's very stationary, as you're going to see. And what I'm looking for is any sort of movement. So what your eyes want to naturally do is, if you keep the screen steady, your eyes are going to naturally look for movement. So you can see this kind of draws your eyes. If there's any sort of people like moving around, whether they're in buildings or any sort of movement that doesn't match this stationary image, your eyes are going to pick up on it and they're going to be naturally drawn to it. Now, think about it if you did it the other way, where you're just kind of like moving around, looking, you're going to miss out on people who might be in the same area that are going to be threats to you. And that's especially important when it comes to squads, because you need to use every advantage that you can, and knowing where people are before they know where you are is a huge advantage. So let's go ahead and keep going. So I drop in, I didn't see anybody. I'm just going to go ahead and farm up here, pick up shotguns. All right, pick up my big pot. Now, usually you don't want to drink your big pots right away. You want to look for minis first. But in situations where you're kind of solo against squads, it's one of those things where you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I don't want anybody jumping in on me and not paying attention. All right, so a lot of this is just going to be me farming up. And there are the minis, which breaks anybody's heart when you drink the big pot before you look at the minis. So here I'm just kind of going building to building, realize that I didn't get my second floor loot. And then we kind of drop down. Now this is a really good spot right here because usually there's some sort of weapon, but of course because I said that, it's not there. So yeah, this is a fairly, sad first loot spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a look to see if I can find any sort of loot. Once again, as you can see here, I'm framing. I'm not moving the camera a lot. And what I'm looking for in this situation, so let's just draw our little frame out. For these particular houses and any houses that you run into, I'm looking for any sort of movement in the building. But this is a big one right here. So, and it's kind of the same thing with doors. So you have to destroy the hatch to get into the basement. So it doesn't start off destroyed like other games where they kind of randomize it so you don't know. In this game, the doors are shut, the hatches are shut, and you have to interact with them to open. So any doors that you see that are open, any hatches that you see that are broken, are going to indicate that there is a player. So I know this. I'm going to go ahead and approach this situation, be extra cautious, and be on the lookout for a player. So go ahead and speed it up, get closer to the house. And boom. So what I did there is really important. I saw the person. The person did not build first. I was able to build first, which gives me that ramp advantage. So ramp advantage is really important in any game mode. when it comes to Fortnite, and that's because this gives you this nice little angle to peek down on top of people, or it gives you cover from the backside. So in this situation, you're going to see me use it as cover, and I'm going to try to locate the person and take shots that are extremely safe. So I can't see him. I'm like, where'd he go? Did he try to rotate? And he's just a bot. He's just going to go ahead and sit there and wait for me to kill him. So I just kind of troll him a bit. And troll. Bam. All right. So that's just me being rude. I apologize. Not very nice. But I went ahead and got better loot than I had from the start in Tomato Town. So because this is squads and because he was downed, I know that he's going to have friends around. So that's what I'm now on the lookout. I spent a little too much time than I'd like grabbing loot. So here you're going to see me be a little extra cautious. I'm going to be looking for the other player. So I'm like, where is he? Is he in the buildings? And then I just head over to Risky Reels. As you can see in the top here, I'm gonna I don't know what this guy's doing, but he should be looking for me. I think he's healing up. I think I'll find that out later. So let's go ahead and jump and speed this up a little bit. He actually doesn't do anything to me, even though he sees me. All right, so let's talk about this again. How I approach this fight in particular. Let me just go ahead and press play so you know what's going on. So I see this happen. So when I approach any sort of town, I usually do it in a cautious manner, especially when I know that there's probably going to be people here. So Risky Reels is a very popular place that a lot of people drop to. I don't want to draw attention to myself. So as you saw when I built the ramp, you know, I built it up to a spot where you couldn't see the building material fall in, right? So when you build ramps of any kind, there's a certain time period where the materials kind of drop down into it. Now, metal takes the longest, brick takes the second longest, and wood takes, you know, the third longest. It's the quickest. So when you're going into an area like this one, so here's the billboard and here is where I am right now, I built so that when I got to this top area, people can't see everything falling down, right? Because it's behind this field of view. The screen is blocking it. So it's really important because you don't want to give any clues. You want to maintain your advantage. So that's kind of what happened in this fight. Now, for this particular fight, I noticed that the team has already been killed because anytime you get this little spaceship teleporter thing, that means that the squad has been wiped. So I know that the squad has been wiped. I'm going to make my decision on what I'm going to do based off. I know that it's just one squad now. So I go ahead, take a look. I see one person. I wait a little bit. I'm kind of seeing if there's any other things happening. I notice that he's not picking up all the loot, which makes me think that he might be healing up, which is an advantage for me. So I'm going to go ahead and take that advantage, and I'm going to push him. So let's go ahead and speed this up a little bit. All right. So once again, at this point, he knows that I'm here because he can hear me building up, and I also destroyed something. So those are extra sound cues that he's going to know that something is happening. So I could have built up more, but I wanted to use this cover in order to fight him. So I go ahead and build one story. I have my shotgun out for quick shots. Now, this particular engagement was not good for me, and one of the reasons why is because this is actually working out to it's not working out to my advantage. He is this small target for me. I am this big head that is poking over the fence, which is a problem because he's using a shotgun, right? So shotgun's not super hard to hit shots, which means I am basically giving him a free headshot anytime that I peek. So if this was a better player, a more competent player, he would just wait for me to peek my head and probably destroy me. But in this particular situation, that is not what happened. But if I play this again, I probably wouldn't do the same thing. I would probably build some sort of thing like I did on the first person where it's a ramp up, and I can hide behind my ramp instead of this kind of sideways ramp where my head just kind of pops up. So that's kind of something I would do differently in this situation. Let's see how it turns out. It takes me a little while, switch to double pump. I hit him for 77 to destroy the wall. I hit him again for 22. He should be low now. And shotgun to finish him off. So that wasn't the best engagement in this situation, but we got the job done. So once again, we find minis. We use the minis because he hit me. and we're going to be kind of on our way. And as you can see here, there's not a lot that's going to be happening, so we'll go ahead and speed through that. But in this particular situation, let's take a look at the map. We can talk about one more thing, which is rotations. So rotations in this game are super important. You know, you might hear your favorite streamer talk about rotations. I know that Ninja, who's one of the most popular Twitch streamers, uses the terminology a lot. So we'll take this time while I'm kind of running through and picking up different various loot in order to talk about it. So rotations kind of happen like this, right? So every single area that you see here on the map are different fighting spots, right? So when people drop down, they either drop down into these locations. Once these locations kind of go through like 2 or 3 minutes, there's usually one group in each location, if someone dropped there, that has won the fight, right? So it takes a while for 3 or 4 squads to kind of wipe each other, get down to a situation where there's 1 squad left. Now, when there's 1 squad left, depending on where the circle is, they have to make a decision. So for our particular circle, let's say that we dropped in Pleasant, right? In Pleasant, it's got a long ways to go. So basically, the rotation that everyone is always talking about is how people exit the fights. Now, for Pleasant, it's usually, you know, this route to the gas station, or depending on the circle, they might drop down in here and go towards Loot Lake. So these are the rotations that they're talking about. It's the planned movement of the team that wins based on the information that they have about the circle. So you can kind of, you know, determine where they're going to rotate. So let's say that, you know, you dropped in Greasy Grove. You're not going to rotate to Loot Lake, right? So you can kind of use that information to help better rotate yourself. Or if you're looking for aggression or looking for fights, you can basically, you know, someone's going to drop here, you know, they likely are going to rotate to Tilted Tower after their first fight, so we can either intercept them there, or we know that there's going to be another fight in Tilted Tower, and we can go ahead and push Tilted Tower and get more kills. So that is rotations. So let's go ahead and get back to the game. Kind of speed this up. We're just kind of looting still. We'll go ahead and get to the next fight. So I'm just doing a lot of looting. You see me breaking down a lot of stuff, trying to build up my mats, because mats are super important. You want to have, you know, a good level of mats at this point, especially in solos versus squads, because what you're going to find is in solo versus squads is that you're going to be up against 2 or 3 people, and you need to start building in order to compensate for those people. So you need a lot of mats. You need a lot of mats to build up. So that's what you spend a lot of time doing in this game. You'll see a lot of streamers doing it. I don't know what that was. I thought it was a shot when I first saw it. It probably was, but I kind of just ignored it here. So let's go ahead and speed up a little bit and see where this takes us. So I'm going to run into a fight here. Yeah, so this is a rotation out of probably Pleasant. And I see that there's a person there. I don't see him at first. I'm kind of checking. All right. So this is a very big point for starters, right? What you should never do, unless you're 100% sure you're safe, which, you know, even in those situations, like you still should, is this person needed to build around him before he started, you know, healing up. So he's healing up because he just came out of the gas. He thinks he's safe because, like, his field of vision is this way. He's not going to look behind him like most people don't. They just... For whatever reason in these games, people never look around. So I don't know, throughout this game you'll kind of notice that I'm looking around, but this person is going to be caught completely unaware and is just going to get a quick one shot. So I'm just going to play it. Bam, he's down. Now I'm looking around for a second before I decide to finish him. And let me talk about the reason why you might want to finish people in situations. So I don't know if this person over here was part of a squad or not, right? But let's say that we kept him down and we're like, all right, we're going to use this man for bait. One of the problems with that, especially in these situations, is I don't really have an advantage here. I'm sitting out in the open. My only advantage would be to build a little 1-by-1, and I'm not in the circle. As you can see, the circle is right here, so I'm far away. So the reason why I wanted to end him quickly is because when you have a downed player in a team situation, your team wants to come help you, right? So everyone's going to flood towards him. I'm going to get 3 people, and this is going to end up being a 3 versus 1, and which is really tough. And it's something that I don't want to have to take unless I have to. So that's kind of why I quickly end him. It's because I don't want to fight his team, and I don't want to be put in a disadvantage where I have to fight the team and then push to the circle. It takes a while to fight teams, and especially with the amount of time that's left, you don't always want to bait somebody. So I quickly finish him, I greet him, and then I'm going to kind of push around and look around for his teammates because they're going to respond to this unless they're fighting somebody else. So I'm looking, I'm using the tree for cover. I'm kind of framing. I'm doing my best to take a look around. I don't see anything, so I feel in this situation that it's safe to go loot. So that's what I do. I go ahead and loot up. I rotate out. Now, once again, the reason why I'm heading in these directions, we can take a look at the map, and you're going to see that I'm going to run into a group, is that once again, I'm looking for action, and I'm looking for rotation spots. So when you saw me a little while ago, I kind of looked down towards the river to this backside, because that's a rotation out of Anarchy. That is a possible rotation around Loot Lake, even though a lot of times Loot Lake goes up the hill. But Tilted always, for whatever reason, they kind of follow this lake and they go up, or they cross the river and they go up. And this is where Tilted kind of ends up. Let's clean this up a little bit so you can see. This is usually the area with the broken house where you're going to see Tilted rotators. So as you can see, there's this group right here who has rotated probably out of Tilted. And we're gonna see what they do here. So we're gonna run into them just in a couple seconds. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm looking around. I'm framing. I'm seeing, if there's any rotations from my right. I'm go ahead and push this hill, and I start hearing noise. And yeah, I think that's enough. And then his friend rotates, and he sees me. He sees me coming from behind. So basically, they're squished. I don't know if you saw before, they had people fighting over here. He's got a down player that he has to react to. So he's going to build up and try to attack me. And I've already taken a shot from him. So I build up. I build my little ramp in order to protect myself. And I reload, and I want to take another shot. But unfortunately, I whiff. And I see him pushing. I whiff again. I decide to pull out my gun instead, and because of Bloom, I'm whiffing again. I'm taking shots. He knows I'm here, and he starts to aggressively push me, which is what he should do. Now he's building the ramp. I get hit. He takes a shot, and I'm kind of in this situation now. He's being aggressive, and I'm retreating, and I'm having trouble. And so that's a really good, important part too. So let's go ahead and rewind a little bit so I can kind of explain what I was trying to do. So on the person that I caught sleeping when he was healing, I picked up a jump pad. So in this situation, I'm facing a team and someone being super aggressive towards me. So I know that there's going to be more than one person here, and this person's being aggressive, so he's pushing me. Now I'm tactically retreating here. I know that I have a jump pad. I know that I can get away. I can reset. I can also bait him into following me and creating a better situation for myself. So that's what I'm looking to do here. Now, my build isn't the best. I'm not doing a great job covering myself. I probably should be backing up and building, but that's not what happened. I probably panicked a bit here, but I did get away. So I go ahead and build. I build. I'm trying to get it down, and I get it down. So I retreat. Now, what this is going to allow me to do is heal up. If he watched where I went, he knows that I went over towards these buildings, which is going to give me advantage. And I'm using right angle advantage here. So I don't know if you already know this, but the right angle is the strongest angle. You kind of peer over their shoulder, the player model's shoulder when you're fighting, and this left side is super weak. So any angle that you can hold where you are on the right side and the open area is on the far right side, you are on the left, sorry, you're going to have a huge advantage to peeking. And so that's what I'm kind of counting on here, is that if he pushes me, I'm going to be able to see him, line up my shot, and quickly end him. And so that's what I'm kind of waiting for. I'm looking at my ramp. I don't see anything. I get closer. I see that he's pushing now. He's looking for me, and then he takes my ramp. Now I don't come out and take pot shots. I'm at a disadvantage here. I think I'm low health. I don't have a lot of shields, and the circle is closing. So once again, I'm picking and choosing my battles. I'm not fighting every fight just to fight it, and I'm not jumping out in order to just kill everybody. I'm selecting them. So once again here, they don't know that I'm here. I mean, this is a squad. I don't know if this is the same person. So I'm gonna wait until he stops moving, and then I'm gonna take my shot, which is a little dangerous because I know that there are people shooting to my right. But I felt in this situation, since they were fighting another team, all their attention is not on me, so it is on the other team. So I wait. He's got his shotgun out. Jumping around. I see he's going for a crystal. I think my shot when he goes for the crystal. Now he dodged the headshot, which I thought I was trying to hit. He is now bunkered up. There's nothing I can do. So what do? I tactically retreat again because I still know that's the same group that just won the fight, and there's kind of no reason for me to push here. So I take a different angle. I mean, they know that they're behind me. You can see by the arrows they're looking for me. They're like, you know, the shot was behind me. They're looking behind. They're like, where is he? So I've moved completely. I go for a wide flank in order to see if I can get another shot on them. Now, unfortunately, they're moving in parallel with me, so, you know, they're not in the same spot, which is unfortunate. And I can't seem to find them yet. And then I locate them, and I'm like, okay, what should I do here? They've cut me off, so I can't rotate towards retail. And I'm just kind of left here. Oh, another person going for a rock. I missed my shot, but that person is decided to take off. So in this particular situation, for whatever reason, at the time I was like, I really don't want to fight this squad. They seemed really strong. I think they probably intimidated me a bit when I was fighting that one person. So I go ahead and rotate a completely different direction. And kind of the reason for this is the safe way to go. I know that there's going to be a group heading towards Salty Springs. I'm sorry, this is where I'm going to rotate to. So I'm rotating into a group at Salty Springs. I saw this group go to retail, so I don't know about this group here until it's kind of too late, which you're going to see here. So I'll go back to the map. So as I'm kind of rotating, using the wall for cover, I see a person, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to engage this group because this wasn't the other group. I also knew that there was a drop over to my right inside Salty, so you're going to be able to see it in a second once the camera angle turns. So I kind of looked to see if I could take a shot here. I can't, but I know that they're going for the drop. So when a drop gets damaged, it will create this HP bar that is visible to everybody on the map. So I kind of know that that's what they're going to go for. I decide that because this ridge is here, because a team was coming from that direction, that being here and taking the shot is not a good idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rotate here. I'm going to rotate through structures because, like I said before in the very beginning of this video, when you create structures, it creates kind of this falling material graphic or animation, and that kind of can let people know that you're there. So I'm going to use this existing cover in order to get a better position in order to attack these people who are getting the drop. So they're going to be standing around, and I want to take advantage of that. So that's why I have my sniper rifle out. I know that a sniper rifle can hit one shot when you kind of shoot them in the head, and that'll give me a huge advantage when I'm fighting this fight. So I hear the noise. I know that they're in the drop. I'm looking for them to probably be healing up or picking up some sort of pot. I see that, and I take my first shot. First shot knocks the first person. The other person's kind of like, what's going on? I don't know. I got to get away. He starts building. So this person probably is, you know, a beginner to medium skill. And so I change position. Now the reason for this is that you always want high ground. He is in his little shack, his little 1x1. So I should have a good angle to peek down on him. So let's kind of see where I end up. So this guy's going to be looking for me. He knows he heard this shot behind me. So I apply a little pressure, shoot down his building, and I get lucky. So someone took a shot at me. We're going to see them in a second. So there they are. Here's the person who took a sniper shot at me. I now know about this, so I need to address this. I can't keep pushing this person anymore because this person has to be afraid that I'm paying attention to them. So what I'm going to go ahead and do in this situation is take a shot at him. So I see him there. I take a quick shot. I thought I hit it. I missed it completely. And now I'm back to the other person who saw me over peak, and now he's hiding. I take a body shot here. I'm still looking. I notice that he is now heading this direction, which gives me time because I know that he has to go through all of this stuff to push the person that I just downed. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to take his cover, and then I'm going to turn and address the other person that I'm fighting. So I also notice that I can't find the first person I downed. I don't know where they are. I notice I down him. I quickly fight him. I kill him. And another reason for that is because I don't want a panic situation where the person, the sniper I was fighting before, is now I got to get to my friend. In this particular situation, I don't want him to make any sort of aggressive moves. I want it to be a 1v1 sniper fight, so that's what I do. So I quickly end him, he takes another shot at me, I know where he is. Now, he is making a mistake here. He thinks that he is the dominant high ground. He doesn't, I don't think he knows the ramp that I built. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get as close as I can to the edge without exposing my head, and then I'm going to quick peek him. And he, in this particular situation, will not be ready for it. So, yeah. See, that was more than enough time. If he knew about the ramp, he could have lined it up, but he didn't. So that's a squad wipe. So circle's coming in. I gotta push. Now once again, I'm trying to be safe on my rotations. I'm not being overly aggressive. I'm trying to basically follow the edge because I know that there are going to be people fighting from retail, right? So when we talk about rotations, you know, we're towards the end game of the circle. Looking at the circle, you know, most people, they kind of drop in these spots, right? You get people in Salt, you get people in these like areas that are highly populated. You rarely get people in these like lower areas. So I'm not too concerned that in this small of a circle, people are rotating from moisty. They're not going to sit here. Most teams are going to fight out in these other areas. So most of the people I am kind of aware of and I'm worried about are going to be rotating this way. So this backside, I'm counting on it being clear. It's kind of an assumption that I'm making. Maybe it's not right, but in this situation, you kind of have to take risks. So that's kind of a risk that I'm taking in this situation. So I'm kind of looking around, I'm framing again, I'm making sure that I'm not moving my camera too much, and the camera movement that I am doing is stationary, so I can see any sort of additional movement that would be coming out while I'm running. So I do see that there's a building, so I'm moving a little slower, trying to be a little sneakier, using trees as cover, using natural cover, which is really important, especially when you're trying to be sneaky, and I don't see anything. So we'll go ahead and push over the bridge. Bridge push, once again, I'm framing, I'm trying to look around while I'm running. And so, I see a group, and I take cover. Now, this particular group saw me, I believe, because I got this ramp. So this guy built up the ramp. It's probably safe to assume that he saw me. I'm not going to take a fight out in the open when I'm outside of the circle against a 3-man squad that I saw. So one of the things you can kind of count on in these situations, especially for my like rotation, is that I covered all this ground, like all of this. So I didn't see anybody when I ran across this, right? No one fought me. So really, I feel like I'm safe to assume that this is where people are going to be. They're going to be in this area here. This area down here is safe. I'm safe with my back turned. I'm going to look around a little bit, but I'm not too concerned. So let's go ahead and jump in. I don't take this fight. I kind of wait for the other teams to fight each other. So speeding it up, they're looking for me, they're looking for me. They're starting to build. Now this particular situation is basically a no-go at this point. I cannot fight this. From my position, imagine if, so they have these little 1x1s. If I try to fight them, if I try to like build ramps up to them, it's not going to work out. I mean, you basically can't fight against this situation. They're protected 100%. The only real aggression that I could show if I was feeling lucky is to take pot shots at, you know, any peeking heads where I use this natural cover, hopefully to draw this attention to myself. But in this particular situation, I decided that that's not a good decision. I can wait for the other teams to fight each other. There's only 7 people left. So I'm basically assuming there's 2 groups of 3 and then myself. So I'm going to wait for those 2 groups to fight each other before I engage. So I hear noise. They're starting to engage. Now I'm looking for sniper shots. Now I'm looking to kind of ruin this group's chance of winning by catch them sleeping. Now, notice that their attention isn't on me anymore. They've given up on me completely because there's a more pressing matter of the group that they just ran. So their backs are now turned to me. The guy's up here, person down here. So I'm looking to kind of ruin their chances of winning because now they're sandwiched, which hurts their chances. So let's go ahead and take a look. I take a couple shots. I'm kind of unfortunate. I'm not hitting anything. Looking, decide against that shot. All right. So here, the reason why I decided to build up, like now was the time to go, is because this person jumped over. So this person is now on the ground. There was a person up here. I don't know what's going on with them, but they're not looking at me. So here is my chance. And what I want to do in these situations is, this isn't very high. It doesn't seem like there's a very big build battle going. If anything, it's kind of like a stalemate where you got your people and they're just kind of fighting each other from building to building, kind of the stationary fight. So this is a perfect time for me to come up from behind. They can't take time to turn around and look around anymore. They're 100% committed to the fight that's happening to them. So I need to exploit that. I need to get up in their faces, basically. So I start building. Start building at it from a distance, and I see a person down, and I finish him. So greed here to even the odds. I see another person down. So yeah, so now I'm just waiting. I'm playing the waiting game. I don't know what squad's made it. Take a shot at him. And there we go. So once again, we have this situation where that little indicator tells us that, you know, the squad's wiped. So now it's 4 people left. I saw a person was down here. I don't know what's going on. I know there is one person here that just dropped down. But basically at 4 people, it's basically a 1 versus 2 at this point, because I know there's another person down here. But that's only because I've watched this VOD before. But I'm going to push this. So I saw where he went. I'm assuming, since there's not a lot of movement, they haven't turned on me, that they're kind of in a situation where they're down. So I'm going to go ahead and push this. And I find somebody. So person builds. I pursue. Try to get another shot off. Alright, for this particular fight that's going to happen, I'm going to go ahead and go to this widescreen. And the reason why I want to do this is because I want to highlight something that this person did incorrectly. So this particular person built his little ramp. He has the advantage. So what I do is I build this double ramp, right? So I build these 2 parallel ramps that covers me from above and gives me mobility to get some space. Now usually I only do 3 of these ramps and then I get up to here and then I build a flat and then I kind of build up. So I'm going up. And this person, for whatever reason, was like, all right, I'm going to get aggressive here. He has his pump out, so he's looking for a 1 shot. But he gives up on his high ground, which is, you don't have to. The correct move for him here would be to continue to build up. The only real pressing matter is that we're going to find out later in this video is that he has a teammate here that is downed. So maybe he thinks that he needs to quickly end me, but I mean, they have the advantage, so I don't really understand this. I think this was a misplay. I think that he could have played it better and gone for the win, or at least followed me up my own ramp from the top, and then kind of built on top of me so I could continue not to build. But he plays it differently. So see that he drops down. I'm building up. I now have high ground advantage. I am in a situation where it's like, where is he? Where is he? He's not in his hut. I need to drop down. I need to find out what's going on. So let's go ahead and go back to gameplay. In this particular situation, I kind of was low health. I wasn't 100%, so I see a chug jug, and I'm going to go for the chug jug because he's basically abandoned me. He's given me space. I'm going to take that, and I'm gonna fully heal. So that's what I do. Now I don't know this, but right there above me, like right up in this area, he's rezzing his teammate. So you'll hear that a little bit while I'm chug jugging. It's a little loud. But there we go. There's the sound cue. Double shotgun, popping up, ready to go. So I know that they are probably reestablishing high ground. So I build up. I'm like, all right, building up again. Build up, build up, build up. It's the mantra. You know, you keep building up. So I'm built up. I'm safe. I am now taking the time to kind of wait. You know what's going on. We can switch back into drone mode and get a better view of the action. So I'm creeping. All right, I see that they're building. It's basically now on. I'm waiting for a shot. All right, so this guy is double building to try to reestablish his high ground. So I pursue. That's exactly what the other person should have did there. You need to pursue when you see someone building up and trying to establish their high ground, because you never want to give up that high ground. You just don't. So I go ahead and pursue. Whoops. I take my shots. Let's go ahead and go back into gameplay. He's not a bad builder, so he's building kind of defensively. I misbuilt here, but I try to reestablish. I block. I see that he heads above me. I try to get above him, and then I win. So I was able to block his build. So he's building out again. I'm basically in his face now. He here should switch. He hasn't. He, for whatever reason, is going to continue to build. Double shotgun. I go in and end him. His friend. His friend, like, builds weird, and I'm like, where did you go? I'm a little concerned that maybe that guy dropped off. But at this point, I'm looking for him. So, what's going on here? I don't see him. I'm like, you know, where did you go? So at that point, I was like, all right, I'm bringing this down. So I bring him down. I kill their friend. My friend's there. All right. So this particular situation, I lost one person. So this person could be in the stack somewhere. I'm not sure. But I do hear that they're bringing it down, right? So he's basically shooting out from the grenade launcher. He's trying to create explosions to bring this down faster. So I need to get down as fast as I can. So I rush it. See the explosions. I get down to a level where I'm not concerned. He's still shooting. He, like, in this situation, like, it's too big. It's too big to blow up. I mean, it's a noble effort. But it's a little misguided. I don't think that you could, in this situation, take this down fast enough to where I wouldn't react. I mean, he thinks I'm stationary, that I'm not going to react to this, but I do. And it puts him at a disadvantage. Find out that he's the guy that got knocked earlier. It only takes one shot to end him. At this point, I'm agreed because we're in a 1 versus 2 situation. It is now 1v1. So I went ahead and I saw the person pop their head out here. This person is going to try to build up. I am going to naturally build up because up is safe. So I'm trying to get high ground on him. For whatever reason, he's like, I'm going to go ahead and take this down. So I capitalize on that and I take the win. And then bust a little dance for you. So that's kind of the situation, right? He didn't build up, gave me the win. He wanted to destroy whatever I was on top of. I'd already rotated, and that was kind of the game. So I'll just take a step back and try to take a look at what they were trying to destroy. I mean, this is a little too big, right? And there's too many points of contact. You're not going to bring this structure down. Like, it was ambitious. It was super ambitious to try to take this down. So, anyways, some things that they could have done differently, especially if you play squads a lot. One of the tips I can give you is always stick together. You are in a huge advantage from a, just from a number of ways you can basically take down solo players if you stick together. I mean, the amount of damage that you can put out, they can't build against it. You really struggle when you have a whole team shooting at you, so they could have stuck together. Instead, they decided to send one person to destroy or like try to take down the building. It didn't work out. I found him. The other person wasn't around his friend. Maybe he was healing. I do not know, but it was the wrong move. So you can stick together in those situations. That's pretty much the video. It was about a 22-minute game. We learned a couple of things. Let's go ahead and do a little recap. Framing is really important. So framing is when you keep your camera steady to allow your eyes to catch any sort of movement that's happening on your screen. We talked about rotations. Rotations are any time a team or group wins a fight, the path that they take. Like we were saying, if you're pleasant, you go ahead and these are your rotation routes. So you can catch people in these rotations, or you can be like, all right, it's been like 4 minutes. Usually fights take about 2 minutes. You can kind of gauge where they might be. So that's another use of rotations. Outside of that, I mean, the other thing we did here was we were kind of passive at times. We picked the correct times to be passive, in hindsight. We didn't take fights when we didn't need to. We did tactical retreats when they were optimal. We got lucky with the jump pad that we had, which allowed us to get away from that particular person that was pushing us. So always be aware. I know that in game it gets really hard because you're really focused on a lot of things. But try to step outside. Don't always be passive. Pick your fights. But if you're in a disadvantage, don't just press it for entertainment value, especially if you're trying to win. So, anyways, my name is Wilmy. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you could do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more of these. I know the first run I had this was a really bad one, but hopefully they get better over time. And with your guys' feedback, I can make these exactly what you want. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the future. All right. Have a good one.